Let's go Tennessee, Oklahoma. This is going to be a great game. I'm a huge fan of Tennessee, as you know. I moved them way up in my poll. They're 6.5-point favorites on the road at Oklahoma. There are so many good storylines in this game. Obviously, with Josh Heupel and Brent Venables facing each other, Heupel was the quarterback on the team that won the national championship for Oklahoma under Bob Stoops when Brent Venables was the co-defensive coordinator of that game. There is a long history between these two guys, these two programs. I'm here for it. Even Josh Heupel was trying to say, like, hey, you know, I think out of respect, the fans are going to be quiet for me, for what I've done. Yeah, right. Yeah, right. I think that the Palace on the Prairie is going to be jumping. There's no doubt in my mind. That place can get really loud. I think it's going to be a very difficult environment. And then you start looking at this matchup, and the matchup is fascinating. It's fascinating. The line has moved around in this game from 7.5 earlier. Now it's down to 6.5. Oklahoma in the first 5 games, Oklahoma in the first few weeks has been unimpressive on offense and very impressive on defense. So they're starting to take more of the identity of their head coach. If what they were under Lincoln Riley was strong offense, weak defense, now they're starting to be strong defense, weak offense. We have not seen them play very good offense. And with the schedule in front of them, you know, it makes me a little bit worried for them because they're going to have to score some points. This is the first of 5 games remaining on that schedule for OU against teams that are currently in the top 7 of the AP poll. Wild. Brent Venables has a horrendous schedule in front of him. By the way, little tangent here. If you're Brent Venables and anybody from OU, how do you look at your schedule and then you look at Missouri's schedule and you're like, timeout. Are we in the same league? What is going on? Look at those two schedules. Pull them up. Pull them up. They're not in the same hemisphere. One might as well be a group of 5 schedule versus an NFL schedule. They are miles apart. I think Georgia could say the same thing. I think Florida could say the same thing. Those 3 schools are looking at Missouri and being like, are you serious? Are you serious? This is why, and I will maintain this, and I said it in yesterday's episode, Missouri's record is going to be better than their team. Meanwhile, Oklahoma's record is going to be worse than their team. And I think that starts this week. Heupel's return to Norman is going to be fantastic. I'm here for it, but the defense is incredibly difficult for OU. So while I'd like to say that Tennessee is just going to roll out there and still be this number 1 scoring offense in the country who also runs the football. By the way, they're running it for over 330 yards per game, which is 3rd in the FBS so far. Dylan Sampson, their running back, really good player. As Nico gets all the love. Iamaleava. There we go. Nico Iamaleava gets all the love. And maybe rightly so because he's the quarterback. But this offense is balanced. I think it's more balanced than even the 2022 version with Hendon Hooker. And I think Iamaleava is actually a better athlete than Hendon Hooker. And so he presents more threats to the opposition. That's scary for the opposition, even for a really quality defense like Oklahoma. Now, being on the road and in his first true road environment, that's going to be a different story. I can just attest to this firsthand. Playing in your very first true road game is a vibe. I mean, like, it's a vibe. Neutral sites do not get you ready for this. Not at all. Quick story time. I played against Colorado State for my very first start ever. It was in Mile High Stadium. It was close to 80,000 in the stadium, but it was split down the middle. And I thought, man, that environment was incredible. And so my very first road start as a starter was at Kansas State. I didn't think anything of it because I thought to myself, can't be bigger and more crazy than the Rocky Mountain Showdown in Invesco Field. I was wrong. Your first road start is a vibe, and Nico's going to have to deal with that. Okay? In particular, in a matchup like this, with all the hype surrounding the game around it, I think it's going to be difficult. I expect Nico to throw a pick early in this game just because it's like, this is different. So watch out for that. It's a good thing for Tennessee, though. Their defense is also strong, so their defense can go out there and play well, in particular against an offense that has really struggled. I've been surprised that Jackson Arnold has struggled the way that he has for Oklahoma at quarterback. They let Dylan Gabriel go. It's a signal. It's like, hey, Jackson's going to be our guy. We want to throw the football down the field. And maybe they're going to be able to do that more so because they've got Nick Anderson coming back, their wide receiver, who I think is a really good wide receiver. I just haven't seen it. They haven't thrown the football for over 200 yards yet. Pick 6 late last week against Tulane, kind of let Tulane back in the game. I'm like, man. Meanwhile, the Vols defense, they haven't allowed a touchdown this season. They're really good up front against an offensive line that's continuing to shuffle. OU's offensive line has 5 new starters. They've been shuffling through this combination in the first few weeks, and they're trying to find it. So they're searching, and it's not a good place to be searching against this defensive front and against that quarterback in Nico Iamaleava. I think that the Oklahoma defense has been great, but they've been very opportunistic. They're going to get a pick early. I just feel that, again, the environment, young quarterback, first road start, but that's not going to be enough to sustain. I think it's a really close game. I cannot in good conscience say that a kid in his first road start is going to go cover. So I can't take the 6.5 in Tennessee. I'm going to say Tennessee wins this one by 1. Tennessee wins 21-20, but Oklahoma covers the points. Again, look for a turnover or 2 from Nico, and then they overcome it because Oklahoma can't capitalize because that offense is just not what we thought it could possibly be. Thank you for watching the Joel Klatt Show YouTube channel. And if you liked this clip, make sure to like it and subscribe to the channel, and you can stay up to date on all of my college football coverage.